Do we have a quorum here?
Yeah.
By the skin of our teeth. All right, we'll call to order the EDA meeting here, City Hall, Thursday, December 7th, 2023. We're going to postpone the oath of office until our esteemed colleague arrives, but before that, let's go ahead and take our roll call of what we have.
Bevins.
Here.
Beezer.
Here.
Grasula. Johnson. Kirsch.
Here.
O'Day.
Here.
Sandy. Yeager.
Here. All right, thank you. So first item here is approval of the agenda. I do have one quick change on the agenda. We are going to swap items number 6, 3, and 6, 4 in our unfinished business. This would reverse the Visit Brainerd and the Swanson Has Camp report. Does anybody else have any other changes, addendums, revisions?
Move to approve as corrected.
Okay, very good. Thank you. And we got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Thank you very much. And let the record show that Mr. Johnson has just rolled into the building. Thank you very much. Okay, next item is our consent calendar. Notice to the public, all matters listed are considered routine by the board and will be enacted upon one motion. There will be no separate discussion on these items unless good cause is shown prior to the time the board votes on the motion to be adopted by roll call. This includes items 5A, the approval of the minutes, and 5B, the financial reports.
Move to approve.
We have a motion to approve.
Second.
And a second. Will somebody please call the roll?
Bevins.
Yes.
Beezer.
Yes.
Grasula. Johnson.
Yes.
Kirsch.
Yes.
O'Day.
Yes.
Sandy. Yeager.
Yes. And let the record show that Mr. Grasula is with us now. So we will move on to unfinished business. This is item 6A. This is the consultant year-end reports and presentations. James, are you going to kind of give us a rundown on this?
Yeah, just kind of a short synopsis, and we'll get to the consultants here. So staff had asked the consultants to kind of take a look at what they've done for the past year, provide a summary for that, and then that'll help the EDA board members consider their next contracts potentially for the 2024 year. So with that, I will open it up to DDBC. Marie, are you going to be representing?
Yes, yep, I can give an update. So as outlined in the summary that we submitted with the packet, DDBC had a very successful year. I think we count among our biggest accomplishments just building our volunteer base and obtaining additional funding from different sources of community support. We estimate we gathered about $40,000 in kind of in-kind gifts, sponsorships, donations, just through volunteer time submitted throughout the year. So just based on that, for every $1 of funding we got from EDA, we were able to multiply that by 4 in gathering community support through other forms of funding. And specifically to our deliverables outlined in our scope of services, just going through the list, we, for the most part, they're all completed at this point. That includes the Main Street, gaining the Main Street status and hosting the in-person visit with the Rethos representative. And we're really proud of hosting that meeting in August and getting about 30 different members of the business community to attend and really kickstarting what the next steps are going to be for downtown Brainerd as a Main Street community. We, to date, have hosted 3 of our 4 business owners' social visits. So those are quarterly events that we host at a downtown business just to have a networking opportunity for members of the business community. We have the last one of those scheduled for January, so that item is will essentially be complete once we host that final one in January. And then I think the only item that we just have outstanding is the promotional videos. We had kind of pushed that as a priority more towards the end of the year, just given all the other events and items that we were working on throughout the remainder of the year. And we right now have scripts and kind of it's ready to go. We're just trying to identify a vendor We did have a vendor lined up that unfortunately had to drop out, so we were able to get a videographer on board to get 2 videos released in December, and then we're just working to get a contract in place with another vendor to do the remainder of the videos, and we're kind of setting as a goal to get those wrapped up in the first quarter of 2024. So yeah, overall, I think we accomplished a lot. You can, if you look through all the events we worked on this year, we did a lot with just, again, growing our volunteer base. We had one of the highlights being a spring cleanup event where we had about 12 volunteers there just helping get the different flower beds and everything cleaned up. And then the other promotional events we have throughout the year, we just wrapped up our window walk, so that's kind of a highlight of our Hometown Holidays promotional event. Had about 20 businesses participate in that, and that's just always a great way to get people in the community to come downtown and see what all is going on down there. So I will wrap it up there, and if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for your presentation. Anybody have any questions? No? Okay, very good. We're going to go ahead and move on to our Blade Act report. This is item number 6.2. I believe this is on page 20 in your packet. James, are you going first, or you just want to turn it right over? Okay, very good.
All right, turn it over. Good morning, everyone. Tyler Glenn, Executive Director of Blade Act. In your packet, you would have received our report for our 2023 activities related to activities in Brainerd itself. Just want to highlight a few items. Probably haven't given you guys, or haven't had a opportunity to give you an update on our unified fund for a little while here. But first, our workforce program, as you can see, Mike Bierknes continues to run this program, continues to have quite a bit of success with hiring management level positions and up in our communities. And we just wanted to identify that so far with his 11 hires in 2023, 7 of those hires have gone to positions in Brainerd-based companies. So we wanted to identify that, which continues to be great. He's actually has, I think, another 4 postings going right now. So the goal is to always exceed about 7 or 8 is his goal every year, but the last 2 years with growth and expansion in our area, he continues to move that forward. Our Unified Fund program, current outstanding loan balance of $841,000 since program inception, which is now a little over 6 years. We've lent out $1.67 million. Total loans funded 21. The primary objective with the Unified Fund is to make sure that the companies that we're lending money to, and we're strictly a gap lender, we provide, is to make sure that they create and or retain jobs. So since the program's inception, just over 265 jobs have been created and or retained with the loans that we've been involved with. Loans to Brainerd businesses, we've done 9 total loans for $736,500 loans directly to Brainerd businesses. We've completed 2 loans so far in 2023. One of those loans was to a business that is located in Brainerd. Business development, we continue to work with developers and potential business expansions throughout Brainerd. We've had a couple opportunities here recently to get some developers in front of staff here at the city. One of the other things, just so you guys know, this is on a pretty regular basis. The state reaches out to economic development organizations throughout the state with RFPs, requests for proposals for companies that are looking to grow or looking to come to the state of Minnesota to start or to expand their business. We typically respond to these. These are coming from Deed, so directly from Deed to my inbox, in my email, asking for a lot of information, area availability, land, population growth, all sorts of things. So we've completed 4 of those this year. Typically, the requests are they're pretty. Some of them are a little bit crazy, but that crazy in a. The most recent one I received, and I received it actually 2 weeks ago, the employer indicated that they were going to hire 835 employees. Not sure where those 835 employees were coming from, but again, it's a request that comes out. We provide the due diligence and make sure that we complete those and get those back to them. Housing, we participated, as you guys know, that we participated with the HRA and GLAR with the Counselors of Real Estate Consulting Corps, and where they identified and outlined some action steps that could lead to increased housing. One of their items indicated that, you know, we should continue and will continue to play a pretty significant role in the development of housing as it leads to pretty significant economic impact in our communities. Completed the childcare, another round of childcare grant assistance with the administration of the assistance grants for Crow Wing County. As you see here, there was another $180,000 that was distributed out. There was about $82,000 that went to outer, greater, if you will, Crow Wing County, and I can't see very well. $96,000 ended up with businesses inside Brainerd for that. One of the other things that we're continuing to work on, we're partnering with the YMCA in their marketing and hiring campaign. So as, excuse me, as the YMCA is getting into 2 different facilities and growing their childcare footprint, they have reached out to us and asked us to partner with them in marketing their hiring efforts, and so we will continue to work on that. We're working on it now. They need to hire 25 new teachers by the spring of 2024. So we've helped them, and we've designed digital ads, flyers, social media posts, yard signs, and Brainerd Dispatch ads for them. They did have their first job fair, if you will, here a couple weeks ago, and sounds like they're moving in the right direction, but this is a huge benefit to our community. It's something we've been focusing on for the last couple of years, obviously, and now that we are at full staff, we have the capacity to lend a marketing expert, if you will, to their needs, and it's been a great thing for us to do and partner with Shane on. Some other items, continue to work with our other consultants on various efforts to assist them and to assist our Brainerd activities. Building community, we continue to work with the Youth Entrepreneur Fund at the Brainerd High School. We provided 4 loans to businesses that were established through this entrepreneur class, and did host the students, took them down for a day of the Innovation Day at the University of St. Thomas. So that's something that is quite interesting to go to, but it's some really good ideas by a lot of young, very, very intelligent kids. So we continue to work on the grant administration for this Main Street grant, and as we all know, I don't think that's going to stop anytime soon. Well, it won't stop until the 3-year window is closed. So we still have some of the businesses that are still working through their projects, bringing in receipts, bringing in project scopes, and we work with the Initiative Foundation to continue to administer that. And as we see in here, that since the beginning of this, we've logged probably more than 250 hours on this. So we have people coming in weekly still, which is good. It means that these projects are continuing to move forward, and the Initiative Foundation has been good with the processing and getting back to our businesses. Last thing I'll highlight here, just so I don't drag this out too long, we've started to make in preparation for the Washington Street construction. One of the things that we did is we started to reach out and try to provide some assistance to those businesses to get them prepared for the potential, for the closing of, or for the construction on Washington Street. We are surveying businesses. We have a line item in the survey from the HRA just to ask about redevelopment grants and different items, but contacted 46 businesses so far. 12 surveys have been completed, and we have those survey results. And we'll continue to add to those. In fact, we had one of the 46 reach out to us last week to say, hey, I didn't finish this, so I want to get this back to you guys. So continue to move that forward. Continue to work with the SBDC. That's been a great project for us. And as we continue to provide consulting services for the SBDC for businesses that are looking to grow and expand. In fact, I sent somebody to James a couple days ago to ask some zoning questions and a couple other things. So, and then the last couple items on here, we've just obviously listed photos, our full staff and our board, for those of you that, whether you did or didn't know who's on our board, and also who our staff are. So open to any questions, and Thank you.
Very good. Thank you, Tyler. Does anybody have any questions for Tyler? Yeah, please, Mr. Sandy.
Hey, Tyler, thanks for the report. Regarding the Washington Street stuff that you had in the packet here, are you providing this to MnDOT or their consultant engineer? I think this would be helpful information, these reach outs to these businesses and hearing their concerns about construction. I think that information would be useful to provide to them.
Yeah, we'd be happy to. A couple of the items that we've taken off of that we pulled from, so MnDOT has some really good information about how other communities have allowed their, given the tools to their businesses to succeed during road closures like this. So we're building that out and hoping to get that out to some of the businesses as this gets closer. But if we'd absolutely share the information, the feedback we're getting. Happy to.
Thank you. Any other questions for Tyler? No? Okay. Thank you very much. We will move on to item 6.4 here. This is the Swanson HazCamp report. Jennifer, please. Thank
Good
you.
morning. So we kicked off the year actually looking at a prioritization effort and doing some metrics evaluation to identify what properties we might focus on this year. So obviously that effort led us into identification of the industrial parks, which we spent a great deal of time on over the last 6 months or so. I think I was in front of you a couple months ago where we looked at some concepts. And so that's really how. Oh, this is my monthly report. That's why I'm confused. I'm sorry. I also have an annual report. So anyway, so I'll continue to walk through that. So as part of that process, we identified Wright Street Extension. We identified the TC Industrial Park. We did some concept planning around those. And while we were doing that concurrently, we were developing the website. So I think it was maybe June, middle of the year, that we actually came in front of you for the first time with the draft website. It actually predated the work that Mary and her team had done in terms of identification of the logo for the overall Brainerd EDA, the start of that overall structure of the website. So today I actually have brought the website back to walk through how we've kind of compiled all of the information that we've been working on over the past year and put it into that website. So a little bit about the scoring and the metrics, because that's not something that we've shown you from the standpoint of it's actually a spreadsheet and it's not all of that interesting. But what we've done is actually identify about 15 to 20 different set of criteria that basically establish a priority. And so we basically have looked at basically two categories, one being city-owned properties or municipal or regulatory or state-owned properties, and tried to identify what could be done with them. Is there an opportunity for development or redevelopment? And we have assigned a score to them. And then we have a second category, which are underutilized or underdeveloped, which might actually be in private ownership, and started to look through what opportunities might exist there. It turns into a big matrix that has a scoring set to it. The idea is that we would be able to take that and then also continue to update that on an annual basis. So as properties might become available, they might get a different ranking, they might get a different score. The other piece of that is, for example, we've talked a little bit about the Washington Street corridor and maybe there being a mix of uses that might be available along that corridor that we didn't originally anticipate. As a result of that, the scoring might change. So the idea is now going into this next year, we'll refine that matrix. We will get new scores and then also update it once we have more information, especially about Washington Street, whether or not there would be some opportunity for residential there, et cetera. So that's stuff that lives behind the scenes, for lack of a better way of saying it. It's information that we're compiling and then bringing back to you probably at the first quarter of next year to say, what's our new priority? What are we going to prioritize in terms of creating concepts for this coming year if you decide to continue to work with us? So the big showstopper, I think, this year is actually the website. So with that, I think we'll just pull it up. So the good news is, since I wrote the report, we were actually able to get your updated logo, we were able to get your colors. And so we've updated our Brainerd EDA Properties website to reflect your new logo. And if you just scroll down the page, actually, you'll see that we've made some adjustments to how it's laid out, tried to mirror how you've got the yellow as your sort of accent color, using the blue. So really trying to follow your branding in terms of how the website is laid out. If you want to actually scroll back up, we're going to go over to properties. So the Brainerd Properties page is where the majority of the content resides with respect to the different properties that we're looking at marketing. So obviously we focused on TC Drive and Wright Street Extension for a good part of this year and created some concepts. So basically someone would land on this page, they'll see all of the properties. We would have it basically organized by, these are municipal or city-owned properties. Then underneath it, in this coming year, we will figure out how to identify private properties or private property owners that may wish to be on here. That requires a little bit of process to make sure that we're representing them the way that they would like us to. So for right now, it's just the public properties that we've looked at so far. And you'll see on the right-hand side, there's click here for more information. This is the marketing page, if you will, that if a potential builder, developer, et cetera, might be interested, they could download this, print it. It gives information. The first page is information about the subject property. The second page is a little bit of information about the Brainerd Lakes area in general, of why you might want to locate here or bring your business here. And if you go back to our website, the second is click here for our concept plans. These are the concept plans we talked about at the last meeting. We've firmed them up. The coloring looks a little weird on here. They actually do look a little bit different on my screen back, but in terms of the colors. So we've finalized this. We've got 2 concepts, if you recall, for each of the industrial parks at this point. We might do a little bit of refinement in terms of making sure it's really clear that we're open to ideas, open to how you might do this. These are just ideas, so we might need a little bit more language that kind of really reinforces the fact that contact us. If you have an idea, no matter what, contact us. But this is intended to give them a snapshot of what could be done. So the second page, excuse me, is the second concept that we talked about, the live work concept for the business park. Again, I think we might need a little bit of introductory language that goes to this, just to make sure that whoever lands on this understands that we're saying there's a lot of different options here that exist. Here's a couple ideas. So then on the Wright Street extension, we've done the same thing. If you wanted to just, again, we've got the first page that highlights the area. Second page is the same sort of standard, socioeconomic demographic snapshot piece of why you might want to be here, and then the concept plans. So the idea is for every property and every concept that we go through on an annual basis, that information will end up on this page. And then if there's any additional properties that you want us to identify that would go on here, it would basically have at a minimum the click here for more information. So we would have that marketing brochure, that marketing page that would come up. For everywhere that we've done a concept plan, there would be that second tab that would exist for concept plans. So as we go through properties over the coming years, that is where the concept plans would reside. So I know at the last meeting there was some discussion about how is this website going to interplay with your overall Brainerd EDA website. I don't think we know that yet. The idea is that in the coming year, I know that Mary and her team have put together a draft website. The question will be whether or not this just becomes a link embedded within the overall EDA website, or whether or not we basically take portions of this and actually embed it within that website. That remains to be seen. Part of it is how do you keep it updated? How do you keep it refreshed? Because obviously if we've got a listing here, we want to make sure that if something does happen, for example, we have a purchase agreement, it's pending, this needs to get updated. So there has to be that sort of interplay between the two of who's going to update it, how does it stay fresh, how do we make sure that we can make sure that the concept plans get loaded, that we've got this consistent theme, brand, et cetera. So I think in 2024, the idea is we're going to figure out how those two websites, if you will, like relate to each other, and whether or not this stays independent or whether or not it gets embedded. So if we move on to the next piece in our overview, the good news is there were a couple of things that I thought we were going to carry over to next year, but we were able to accomplish this year because we did get the logo and we got some of that information so that we could create a more consistent brand with the information that we have. We have been discussing especially the industrial park areas with developers, potential users. I've actually participated in a couple of roundtables and events down in the cities where they've talked about sort of the northern and outstate areas. There's a couple of groups that actually down in the cities have recently developed a rural sort of industrial market target, which we've reached out to them to start to talk to them about what types of users are they representing, how might we be able to leverage their relationships, how might we get them interested in the Brainerd area. So that effort will continue. That is certainly something that would be ongoing. We have come up here and participated with the quarterly roundtables with the consultant team, which I think has been extremely valuable, especially as we develop the collateral materials to make sure that we have a consistent theme and a brand moving forward. We do have a business roundtable that we are going to work on with Bladek. Right now, we, I think, are doing it next week. That's the great news. So part of that, excuse me, part of that is also trying to make sure that we get some type of representation from Washington Street because especially if there's a mix of uses that might be in play there, there could be a lot of opportunities. So making sure that we understand that, excuse me, and then attending your meetings. And this is the last one of the year, which it almost doesn't feel like it since there's no snow on the ground. But I think we have completed all of the meetings that we said that we would attend. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Very good. Thank you very much. Any questions? Yes, please.
No question, comment. I do think all of the information, I don't think we should have two websites. I think it should all be on one website when it's all said and done at the end of the day. That's just my comment on it.
Yeah. Any other?
I agree. I think it's great what you came up with. Are the other two parking lots that we talked about downtown also listed in that website?
They are.
Okay.
Yep. And the information that we did the previous year is also, we're working on making sure that that gets loaded too as not a true concept plan, but we did a fit test, if you recall, and making sure some of that information makes its way into sort of that concept plan. So yes.
Perfect.
Yep.
And then if we could, once we get this site live, once we combine everything, and I assume you guys are gonna kind of work together on how that all fits together. But when we do have that, if we could get it linked up to our city website as well.
Yeah, but I think that, so we're having one more quarterly consultants meeting. I think that's going to be probably the main topic is how we put them and kind of merge them together.
Awesome. Great.
Yeah, the one thing I would say to that is if it doesn't happen, for instance, in the first, it could be complicated just in terms of permissions and all that kind of stuff to make sure that we can do everything the way we need to merge them together. If it takes 6 months, ours is live, so we could easily put the website link, at least temporarily, on the web page because it is live and it is available. So to fill the gap, if you will, for lack of a better way of saying it, we could do that also.
So your part of the website, you're saying you could link onto the city website at this point?
Yeah, what you just saw could be a link. That the Brainerd EDA Properties.com is an actual live website right now. So we could embed that domain and put a link on the website today, essentially, because it is available.
I think we should get those properties out in front of people as soon as possible and then add in the rest of our website content whenever it's ready.
Yeah. And this leads to a comment that I have, and that is that once we get this website all put together, it's no longer really just informational, but it's entering the competitive market. So I'm wondering about an SEO strategy, and I'm not sure who we're going to, how that's all going to work or fit in, but it would seem to me that because we are now competing to sell these properties against other properties, realtors and such, so forth, it seems to me that an SEO strategy should at least be talked about. Well, maybe when you come up, we can. Yeah, I saw it in there, so I was just going to see who's going to be spearheading that and running through that, so, okay. Anything else? All right, very good, thank you. So just before you arrived, we swapped both you two, so yeah, come on up, Mary, thank you very much. We'll move on to the Visit Brainerd report.
All right. She's got higher heels. No, just kidding. Good morning, everybody. I'm Mary Johnson with Visit Brainerd. As far as our report, the website is 90% complete. We can certainly pull up, if you want to pull up the link and see it. The website that we did is much more about the EDA, the community as a whole, the live here, work here, the do business here. We can certainly add in the links, or we can certainly upload PDFs of the packages that Jennifer creates or whomever that is. That would be my recommendation. She's got a beautiful site, and we can certainly have the conversation at a deeper level. But the whole idea is that first button, or the second button that says opportunities right at the top, would link to the pages or the PDFs or whatever it is, highlighting the properties and the opportunities that the EDA is really trying to showcase so that it's front and center. And then also underneath the do business. And so if you want, you can certainly, James, if you wouldn't mind just scrolling through. We're still refining content. I may ask for a volunteer from the commissioners, whether it's Gabe as the liaison or somebody else who has a creative bend towards writing, just to help me kind of smooth out some of the edges. A lot of this looks like a different EDA website from a different community because some of the language is cookie cutter about things being great and what we're doing. But the part that's taking a little bit longer is that deeper dive into what is unique about Brainerd in terms of incentives, in terms of technology, in terms of, things that BPU can offer people, SAC and WAC fees, and looking at that so that it really does give a little bit more depth when somebody's looking around. So we've got a lot of the same thing, why I live in Brainerd, why I work in Brainerd. We're talking about workforce, we're talking about the college, we're talking about the industries that are here. And then, as well, the parts that we need to finish out are that do, kind of the do business and the technology here. But that content is largely written. It just needs to be massaged. This could be live in a week. We need a little bit more time to finish it out. But the one thing, too, is that websites can go live and content can change, and most people won't notice it. Since nobody knows there's an EDA website, we're not going to suddenly crash the universe by having all the hits, just having it live out on the web. But to your point, Kevin, I included an SEO strategy in the 2024, and it makes no difference to me if it comes under Visit Brainerd or somewhere else, but I do think it's something we should invest in. One of the big questions for me yet is, what do we want it to be? We already own, for a domain name, we own Brainerd.works, which was what I had recommended previously. I did look, Brainerd EDA is available. BrainerdEconomicDevelopment.com is available. So if we're also looking at, she has Brainerd property, or what do you have?
EDA properties.
Just EDA property.
Brainerd EDA.
And she has Brainerd EDA properties. So I don't think that we would want one quite so specific for the overall EDA, because remember, we're also communicating and branding an entire organization, right, that's trying to develop its own identity slightly independent of the city. So from a brand strategy, I think I would recommend a Brainerd EDA or Brainerd Economic Development or something. If anybody has a real strong feeling on it, let me know. Otherwise, I'm happy to just, brainstorm with Gabe. That's what he does for a living too. So that's the big thing for us. If we're continuing to add photos. A lot of those things are coming from Visit Brainerd. I have some questions for the cities about imagery and that type of thing too, but we're able to kind of populate it with things that really showcase the community as a whole. So any questions or comments on website, logo? Yeah.
Anyone?
You start, Mike.
Mike?
I think the website looks great. Excited to see what the content turns out as. I would suggest maybe everybody send some talking points about, if you have ideas about some of this content, just something to add. And I can gladly do that too, just send you some emails
Please do.
on that. But also Chat GPT, I have about 3 minutes of experience with that. You could use that with those talking
Got
points.
about 100 hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you could probably come up with all the content you need in about a day. But I'm curious about your video.
Yeah.
Do you have ideas for the video?
I do. So we, Visit Brainerd has some, we already own some video from Blaze Air. They did a commercial and a series of videos for us, and a lot of it focused on downtown Brainerd and over the river and that kind of thing. And so I think we'll build a video with that content and then try to put up something there. Also, if we got to the point where we had a video library, it could live on our blog. We could also put it on YouTube. We could link anything. We could put the BC3 channel. We could put, if there ever gets to a point where there's, let's say, video tours of properties or anything like that. Those are some of the things that I'm trying to envision, that you click through to that. But first, it would be more of a overview of our beautiful city of Brainerd kind of thing. And we'll just do that. We'll do that as the city's DMO, as your visitor bureau and that kind of thing. And we'll do one for each city that we work for and just put it up. So,
Great.
but
When would you like to have that feedback by? Is there kind of a time frame you'd like for us if we're
our
going
goal,
to?
we committed to having this thing live by the end of the year.
Okay.
So in my world, if we could have it in a week, that'd be great. The end of next week. The consultant and I have been going back and forth, cramming like a couple seniors in high school, trying to get everything going, because it's just one of those, it's here. It's been sitting here. You work at it a little bit at a pace, and then website projects, sometimes you just really got to sit down and sit at the coffee shop and hammer it out, kind of thing. So that's the mode we're in right now. So a week would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, if that's enough time. But also, I know everybody's busy. This isn't obviously the top priority for you. So if you see something, just send me an email.
Okay.
We can make it, like I said before, make it go live and then change content or pictures or anything like that anytime. So,
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ms. Johnson.
Yeah, well, with an SEO strategy, you'd be changing the content all the time, refining it nonstop, right?
right. Part of the SEO strategy would both be keyword search, so we would figure out the properties, the names, Brainerd, what might be economic development, potentially some display ads. I'm not sure. I'd have to consult with a consultant on that on there, and then a blog. So we do have, it'll be, I think, on the Do Business page. Right now, I don't remember, but we'll have a blog, and part of what I had pitched was content management, which would include looking at the site. It's probably an hour a week, 4 hours a month, and then writing a blog post or something like that, which will also try to connect to a LinkedIn page, which is something I think we ought to do.
Very good. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Where did you get this image?
I'd have to ask the designer.
Yeah.
I don't know.
In all my time on the council, I've found my favorite images of the city are over the river looking north.
Yeah,
They just look good. I like this one.
Yeah.
I'll
Mike?
let him know.
I was gonna suggest, I know I have a contact in the city that does drone videos. I'm sure everybody probably knows somebody that does those by now, but if we want drone videos of, say, the properties that we're trying to market, or just the city in general, I can put you in contact with him, and you guys can both kind of give him an idea of what you're looking for. If you want more
Absolutely.
videos that would help with SEO that you could add monthly, or just add to the website overall.
Yeah, I think the conventional wisdom, and certainly in marketing and advertising in this day and age, is content is king, and video is a big part of that, because we live in moving pictures, and it's just scroll, scroll, scroll. I don't want to overpromise and underdeliver, because sometimes it is hard to get that, but I think we need to make it a goal. I think that would certainly help with property development, but that's marketing, but that's not exactly my wheelhouse. I would defer to Jennifer on that, but we can help give it a place to live.
Any other questions for Mary? All right, very good. Well,
Okay.
please, Tyler.
Mr. Chair, thank you. Mary, we have a lot of professional pictures of the city of Brainerd, so anything, and we can share those with you as you need them.
Okay.
In fact, we shared them with the city for their administration, or their administrator search, so they asked us for, if we had some, we had a lot, and so we've got all professionally done, so whatever you need, if you want to add it to it, you can filter through all that we have.
Okay, great. That'd be awesome. Thank you.
Yep.
So, So that
Anything
was
else?
the big thing for us. I'm sorry, website branding package. Otherwise, it's the advertising campaigns that we've been doing. The one that we didn't do much with, just to be completely transparent, was the advertising for the recruiting entrepreneurs and developers. We did the print ads and the IQ, but the intention was to have the website live and start promoting some of that a bit more. So my recommendation is to carry those funds over into the 2024 campaign and start doing some advertising and promoting on the key messages. Where now that we've got a place to drive people, that's a little bit tricky. That's in part why we've done just the print ads. So, but otherwise, the summer and winter advertising campaigns are off. We attended the meetings, really enjoyed the consulting brainstorming sessions, and whatever questions you might have, we're happy to help.
Excellent. Thank you, Mary. Anybody else? All right, very good. We're going to move on to our next item here. This is 6B. This is the consideration of our 2024 shared services agreement. It should be found on page 34, I believe. Mr. Kramvik.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So at the August 3rd EDA board meeting, the board approved a preliminary tax levy request of $186,812, which is the maximum EDA fund allowed by a state statute. It has not been finalized by City Council at this time. Also at a workshop, staff did discuss the future of the consultant contracts and was directed to begin working with them on potentially scope of services for 2024. I'd say probably some of the big things would be, again, what we talked about, updating the website with as new content comes or things change. Also, as Jennifer had spoke about some of the private properties, obviously staff engaged and have done a couple reports on the Westwood Mobile Home Park. So kind of creating a contract for some of these private properties to be able to work with the city of Brainerd to market their properties on the website. Staff's been reached out by a couple downtown businesses that are interested, as well as marketing their kind of vacant stores as well. So that's kind of a couple of the big things for next year, as well as creating that marketing strategy to let people know that the EDA has a website. We are listing properties. That was put under Visit Brainerd Scope of Services. Budget-wise, this year was $137,000. The only change was Bladek asking for an additional $1,000, essentially a cost of living increase. They were the only consultants from last year that didn't request an increase in services. So with that, staff is recommending to authorize the chair to enter into the shared services agreement as presented with Bladek, DDBC, Swanson Hascamp, Visit Brainerd, and the City of Brainerd. I can certainly answer any questions. Consultants are also here to answer any questions.
Very good. Thank you, Mr. Kramvik. Okay, do we have any questions for James? No? Okay. Well, any discussion amongst ourselves with regarding the contracts moving forward? All right, if not, then staff is looking for a recommendation.
Move to approve.
Got a motion to approve and a second. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good. Thank you very much. We will move on to item 6C. This is the this is the consideration for the real estate contract, correct? Yes?
Yep, that's correct.
Mr. Kramvik, please.
So at the last meeting, EDA Board of Commissioners directed staff and Swanson Hascamp to work on a proposal. This wouldn't be the finalized contract here, but work on a proposal to potentially market the properties that we just looked at in the industrial park, other properties that are owned by the city of Brainerd, as we currently do not have anything listed on a Realty website. So with that, I'll turn that over to Jennifer.
Welcome back.
Me again. And before I jump in, actually, I was going to say we also have some drone footage that we did as part of the zoning ordinance update process, and we would be happy to share that with the city as well if there's anything that's of use of that. So jumping into the camp real estate piece of it, what we are proposing essentially is a 12-month contract to give us enough time to try to develop a strategy and get out there to the active real estate market. It would be an exclusive right to sell, meaning you couldn't list it with other brokers while we are working on trying to sell it for you in those 12 months. We proposed an 8% commission rate. 2.5% would go to the buyer broker, assuming that there is a buyer broker. If there's not a buyer broker, then that percentage comes off. The commission, we reached out to several actually port authorities, EDAs, et cetera, to ask them how they were doing it from the standpoint of if you continue to do the dollar we'll sell it to you for $1, provided you create a certain number of jobs, for example. How are they estimating what those fees were based on? So essentially, it was the appraised value of whatever the transaction was. So anybody who's going to come in and purchase it obviously would do an appraisal to get insurance, to get a mortgage, et cetera. So the commission would be based on what the appraised value is at that time. And that the contract, if there's a listing agreement, which would have to be entered into for specific properties, that the listing agreement would clearly state to whoever the buyer is that the buyer would be responsible for paying the commission. So they might get it for $1, but they might have to pay the commission, is essentially what it comes down to. So still a good deal because they're paying $1 for the land, but they would be responsible for picking up the commission. So it's not something that the city is on the hook for. So if we enter into a contract, essentially we would need to have a specific listing contract for specific properties in order for us to be able to represent you in negotiations and in the transaction. We would develop a strategy for each of those properties that would leverage the existing work that we've already done with respect to the last year, for example, with the concept plans, et cetera, but then also develop the strategy of how it goes out to the broker world and the real estate world. So, for example, we would obviously need to have a sign out there, make sure that that gets out there. That would be obviously branded by the EDA, but co-branded with us as the broker because it's required by state licensing rules. But putting together all of that collateral information and then also then doing a direct marketing approach to the local broker market and then also the North Metro broker market because there's actually some interest in moving further north. So we would create that full strategy based on what the property's potential for highest and best use is. We would, I covered the sign. We would also look for print locations. Believe it or not, even though people still love the internet, people love to see sometimes a flyer, a print piece, flyers all over town, those types of things. Also, it starts to get the brand out for the Brainerd EDA, which is a double bonus. So there's also some promotional events or sort of conferences where I've attended over the last year or so, which I think there could be some opportunity for the EDA. So, for example, I went to the MNCAR Expo, which is the Minnesota Commercial Association of Realtors. I went to that expo in October. There were several EDAs that were actually had a booth, were promoting land available, opportunities available. So events like that, I think strategically could be very beneficial, especially when we're talking about large contiguous acres and areas like the Wright Street Extension. So we would identify those strategic opportunities and attend those and create a booth or a flyer or some other marketing collateral and attend them on behalf of the EDA and the properties. So the contract also includes, obviously, we would be working with any potential buyer, developer, et cetera, also helping them with an entitlement strategy if it needs rezoning, new land use, those types of things, helping make sure that all of the I's are dotted, T's are crossed so that we can get to a successful closing. The other benefit is since you own the property, the idea is that we will get something that meets your goals and objectives and meets the city's goals and objectives. So I think we're uniquely positioned to be able to do that since we've worked with you for the last several years. The idea is to make sure we get users and buyers and developers here that actually do the type of work that you want them to. So we talked about for even potential residential as a use in the industrial area. It's figuring out how that works and assisting them through that process. We would present all the offers, assist with negotiations, and we would provide you with a monthly report so that you know our activities and what type of inquiries we're getting. I think that's the end, but I'm not totally sure. There we go. So that is the end. That's the good news. So if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them, but that's essentially what we're proposing. Obviously, we would look at individual listing contracts, and those would be brought back and forth, but these are the general terms we're proposing.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions? Okay, go ahead.
Just the cost is basically just the commission?
Correct.
There's no other costs up front? Okay.
No.
it wouldn't have anything to do with getting rid of our right to revert the land if it's not used in the way that we had it intended it to.
I'm sure that would be written into the contract, and we could work that part of it out.
Anybody else? Okay, go ahead.
Yeah, I'll say 8% is better than 9%. That 1% savings there, I like that. But 8% of zero is still zero, so I have no problems with this.
Well, I think it's not actually, I'm just going to say, but this is my question is, so hypothetically, we sell this property for $1. The buyer's responsible for the broker fee, which is a 2.5, but we're on the hook for the 8, correct?
No, it will be written as
Okay.
they're responsible for the full 8%.
Okay, got it. That's what I just want to make sure. Okay,
Yep.
very good. Yep. Okay, thank you. Yeah, please.
When do you need a response to this?
There's no rush. It's entirely up to you, but of course, we won't be listing it until you decide what to do, or if you go with another broker, obviously they can do it, but I mean, that's entirely up to you.
Sitting there 20 years.
I'd be comfortable going forward with it as soon as possible, especially when we have that website, I think. Have this a part of that launch.
Mr. Kramvik?
Yeah, just a reminder, before a motion's made, we still do need to do the oath of office for board member Sandy.
Excellent. Yes.
Voting over there.
My mistake. Actually, you've been voting all day here. I'm sorry. We're going to stop everything right now. Let's get this oath done immediately, perfectly.
Make your votes actually count.
Yes, exactly. Luckily, none of the previous votes were contested or teetering on the edge of one way or another. Okay, very good. Do you want to stop and do the oath right now before we, because I feel a motion is pending here, actually, so.
I'm good with that.
Let's do it. Mr. Kramvik, come on up. Thanks for reminding me. Sorry about that.
Can I just sit here?
Yeah, we can just stand there and we'll have you raise your right hand and repeat after me. I state your name.
I, Paul Sandy,
Do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
do solemnly affirm that I will support the Constitution of the United States,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
the Constitution of the State of Minnesota,
and that I will faithfully and impartially discharge
and that I will faithfully and partially discharge
the duties as a member of the Brainerd Economic Development Authority,
the duties of the Brainerd Economic Development Authority,
representing the city of Brainerd,
representing the city of Brainerd,
to which I have been appointed to the best of my knowledge and ability,
to which I have been appointed to the best of my knowledge and ability.
so help me God.
So help me God.
Welcome.
Welcome aboard, yes. All right, Mike, green light, baby. Did you want to?
Yeah, I motion to enter into an agreement with, is it Camp Real
Camp,
Estate?
yeah.
Second.
Got a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion? All right, let's put our new vote to the test here. All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good.
Thank you.
Okay, next item is 6D. This is the approval of the 2024 EDA budget. Mr. Kramvik.
And that's actually Connie on that.
Oh, sorry, Connie.
That's okay. So on page 52 of the packet is the current budget. As James had previously mentioned, the maximum allowed by state statute is the $186,812. Then if we scroll down under professional developments, we have listed the professional service contracts that were just approved. You can see the one that increased was for BLADAC by $1,000. We also have in the budget the request from the Initiative Foundation. There was information included in the packet, the $5,350. So that would have revenues exceeding expenditures right now by $43,870 for the year of 2024. We're looking for a motion to amend or approve the budget as presented, and the council will adopt the EDA levy at its next council meeting. Or will consider the EDA's budget at the next council meeting.
Okay, thank you, Connie. Any questions for Connie? Please. Sorry, Mr. Johnson.
Did we make $2,101 in legal municipal advisor budgetary item?
So that would be a correction from the previous year. When we were doing the CLOW stamping work, when they were looking at the crypto information, they actually paid us for that. and instead of it going into expenses, so,
Oh, right, it was a it was just a
Yeah.
timing difference, okay.
Yep.
Thank you.
Yes, please.
Do we need to approve the initiative $5,350 separately,
no, you do not need to do it separately.
as long as it's in the budget?
Budget, yep.
Okay.
Any other questions?
I get a motion when you're ready.
Have at it.
Let's approve it. I move to approve the budget as presented.
A second.
We have a motion and a second.
And a third.
And a third, and a third. So I'll have a second by Mr. O'Day. I think you just barely squeaked him out. So any comment, discussion? All right, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, motion carries. Thank you. Okay, we'll move on to our new business. This is item 7A. This is the update for the ISD 181 property. This is the North Buffalo property. James?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So just want to kind of give an update, possibly get some direction from the EDA on this property. So it's approximately 20 acres north of Buffalo Hills. It's owned currently by ISD 181. About a month ago, staff did reach out to ISD 181, met with Reed Teesey about the project, as he's kind of in charge of facilities and land for the school district. Upon that conversation, he didn't really see the school district needing this property, as most of the schools have been built out as part of the reconstruction projects. So with that, this property was brought up at their long-range planning committee. Staff did attend this last week to kind of discuss what those options could potentially be. Right now, it's zoned park property because it's really open space. It's to the north of Buffalo Hills Park. Obviously, there'd be discussions of how you'd access it, possibly through the east end of Buffalo Hills Park. There's also some access to the north there, I think along Graydon. Pretty developable property, fairly heavily forested with mature trees, but relatively flat, I guess, compared to maybe some other properties that are available. So the school district definitely seemed interested in, doing something with the property and see, upon initial conversations, they don't need it, but also see if homes are built there. It also, could improve enrollment for them and increase the tax base in the community. So they seem very interested, and they're going to continue to have discussions on it. Staff kind of presented two options to them, and certainly like to hear from the EDA if there's any other ideas. But option one would be to convey the property to the city. It's been done with other ISD 181 land in the past. With this, then the EDA would be allowed to essentially have that right of reversal if something's not done by the contractor. Would also be able to sell the property potentially at a discounted rate, which staff does get asked from time to time from developers quite often to see, what city property we have. Is there a potential discount with it, especially if they're putting in all the infrastructure? Option two would be the school district enters into an agreement with their own real estate broker to list the property at market rate if they are looking to make some profits off of that. With that, the EDA, certainly could help them on the EDA website, and whenever a developer approaches the community development department or the EDA, staff would certainly let them know about this property as well. So just kind of wanted to give an update that we've been preliminary talking about this and wanted to see if there's any comments from the EDA on what your thoughts are on the options, and if you do want to provide any direction. Obviously, it's owned by the school district, so we don't have full control of that, but staff will continue to meet with school district representatives and would like to get kind of opinions from the EDA board on it.
Thank you. Mr. Kramvik, questions, comments? Please.
Did you discuss purchase price or anything like that?
Didn't discuss purchase price. I guess more so I talked about something more like $1 an acre, something like that if it were to be conveyed. If they're really looking to develop it, that's probably the best way. I'm not sure if they have the capacity to have the right of reversal that the EDA would have to be able to take back land if a developer's not developing in it. So that was kind of the initial conversations. Haven't really, talked about purchase price for more like a market rate.
So from your observations, they're open to.
They're potentially open to it. They didn't, completely shut that option down.
Do they not know how terrible their budget looks moving forward?
I'm sure that'll be considerations, so.
Okay, well, I'm all for this. You know, I know that HRA is looking at acquiring some land, so maybe working with the HRA on this, but if they're interested in conveying it for $1 an acre, or hell, I'll pay them $2 an acre, right? I think this is
A record.
This is a good deal.
Well, you want to go 3? Do we have anybody who will go $3?
Mr. Chair, I
Okay,
think staff should continue to work with the school district.
very good, yes, I agree. Any other, do we have other?
I just have a suggestion that if we're going to have an entry and an exit, usually want an entry and an exit to any neighborhood just based on ambulance access. I think that the park board should discuss whether or not we're going to have an access on the south side as well. I know Buffalo Hills Park is up for a pretty major renovation soon, so I think it's a good time for them to discuss that too.
Yeah, excellent point. That was going to be my comment. I think the conversation just for openness should run through the park board at least some. But I'm quite certain that the current park board has no ambitions to develop this into park space. But I just feel because it is currently zoned park, so that would all have to be reworked. So that was my only thought also as well, Mike. Yes, please.
I just have one thing. I think this would be good to be developed. My only one comment would be with the trail, because there's a trail that cuts through there, is that we keep that in mind, because a lot of people use that trail cutting through that property there.
Absolutely, yeah, good point. Paul?
I would also ask probably city staff to look at sewer and water utilities, if those are easily extendable, sized correctly for that property. I would assume they are. But just to keep that in the back of your mind along with that access conversation.
That sounds good. Yeah, Jesse's already been kind of in the initial meetings as well.
Well, it sounds like we got some groundwork to do before we continue the conversation with.
Yep, that's correct.
Continuing on. So you have what you need there?
I do.
Anybody else?
I think we get the land before.
And we're up to $3. We're up to, I believe we're up to $3 an acre now. So.
But Gabe's paying for that.
Oh, we're at 5. So the stronghold of the ISD is slipping at the moment. Okay, very good. All right, we're going to move on to item 7B. This is consideration of the funds for the demolition of 426B Street. James.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So this property's had issues kind of for the past year and a half. There was a fire at this property. Eric, was that about
spring of this year?
Staff did board this property up. Certainly is, from the pictures there, you can see a hazard. The property owner that bought it, kind of sight unseen, approached the HRA about potential redevelopment of the property as putting a single-family home back on it. So the HRA did get authorization to purchase the property as well as funds to demolish it. The HRA did approach the EDA or myself, I suppose, to see if the EDA would be interested in using some of the local program income funds to potentially be used for 50% of the hard cost for demolition. As we talked about it, that number would not exceed $15,000. This would be, certainly a potential project that you could use the local income funds for it. With that, the EDA provides a recommendation. The city ultimately would approve it. So with that, staff does recommend approval of the local income funds to be used for 50% of the hard cost, not to exceed $15,000 for the demolition and asbestos abatement at 426B Street. And I'll let Eric add anything to that if necessary.
Yes, thank
Please,
you, Mr.
Eric.
Kramvik, and thank you, Commission. So yes, we at the HRA were authorized to purchase this property. I can say that we are now the proud owner of this burned down house, and was a very proud day on November 30th when we bought this. But it does certainly pose a safety risk to the residents of the city of Brainerd. There is some caution tape that's currently preventing people from getting in there. Not usually the best thing. So we are trying to move on this as far as the demolition as quickly as possible. We would ideally like to get this demolished by end of year. As you see in the memo, there is some asbestos that we found in when we did our due diligence. We know that we need to abate that. We are actually doing that today. And so that will be abated. We are moving forward regardless of what EDA chooses to do, but we thought this would be a good opportunity to partner with the EDA, knowing that this is an eyesore for that neighborhood in the city. And if we can demolish this, get this back to grade, our intention is to sell this to Lakes Area Habitat for Humanity for a redeveloped single-family home. And Habitat is very much on board with this. This is a really great opportunity for them as well. They recently relocated to the East Brainerd Mall, as you hopefully know, and this is right outside of their new home, so they can highlight this as well. So I think this is a win for a number of organizations. We humbly do ask you for participation in this. We are getting bids right now for the demolition. The secondary reason we are looking at maybe some increased costs on demo is because it's getting cold now, and we do want to make sure that we get this covered up at least by end of the year. And with that, I would take any questions from the commission if you do have any.
Very good. Any questions for James or Eric? Yeah, please.
I'm just interested, this fund that we're talking about, local income, what do we call it?
Local program income?
Yeah, this doesn't affect the EDA budget at all?
No, those are the funds that they're not part of the EDA budget, but they're listed. They're not a slush fund, Mr. Johnson. We do not have those. As I said, this is money that is repaid back from small city development grants, and those are the years that we don't exceed $35,000. And so DEED says when you get less than $35,000 a year, set it aside, put it in a different fund, use it for local income. You still have to meet a federal objective, but you no longer report on the income.
So the dollars are more difficult to use, and these are projects, that are within the scope of being able to use it. So it's a good opportunity to utilize some of those dollars.
One, how much is in that fund? And two, how many other houses do we have that we can tear down?
Great questions.
Good question. I do not know the answer to the to the second question. First question, there's about $103,000 in that account.
Okay.
Yeah, and what I've asked James and staff to do is to just, so this program that we've got through the HRA is called the Scattered Site Replacement Program. We've utilized this, but hadn't utilized it really in the last 5 to 6 years. Something that we do have, we've got some dollars available on our side. Staff at the City of Brainerd are the ones that are out there looking at these somewhat difficult properties, and I've asked James to just let us know if there are other properties that we can take a look at and then bring back to our board as well and see if we can purchase those. Again, we're not asking the EDA to use local income for the purchase of these properties, just really that demolition and remediation.
Very good. Thank you, Eric. Any other questions? Yeah, please.
Yeah, James, I remember in the last couple of years, the council took action to allow the government to steal people's insurance proceeds to be used to tear down their houses after a fire. Did we utilize that on this particular property?
I believe there was, it was just purchased for cash, so there was no insurance on this house to.
When it burned?
Yeah, so when it burned, the house was pretty much useless at that point. We have done it with other houses that, I think that person had purchased it for $7,000 on cash. So there's really no value to retain from an insurance company. I don't believe there was even insurance on this one. We were never contacted. Other properties that do have fires, I think there's one in Norwood that we have retained money on. So we do that with properties that we're concerned about. This property didn't come up with that one.
Thank you. And since you brought up Norwood, are they going to fix that house?
That's where we're retaining the funds.
Okay, that's a different topic. I fully support this. I would add the city is receiving, Connie, $96,000 and change in a housing funds from the state this month sometime, and another $96,000 this year, and I believe that money could be used for this program too, but since we have the local income.
I don't know if it could be used to demolish a house. I would have to look into
If it's
that.
being replaced with a new house from Habitat.
Okay, correct.
Yeah.
Kelly?
I move to authorize the EDA to utilize local income dollars up to 50% of the hard cost for asbestos abatement and demolition of the house structure with a cap of $15,000.
We have a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. Very good. Thank you. And thank you, Eric, and for the work the HRA is doing on these projects. All right, we're going to move on to approve or look at approving or changing our 2024 meeting schedule.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So this is essentially the meeting schedule that we had from this past year, which is kind of an every other month type thing. Staff does believe that this worked out well. We did have to have a couple special meetings in there, I think specifically because of the deed grants that came in But this did allow us to hold a workshop as well, which I think, could be beneficial to have 1 or 2 workshops a year as well to discuss items. So with that, staff is asking potentially for that first one, February 1st. There's an Ellers conference that both myself and the finance director's potentially interested in going to. If the EDA would allow it, potentially a February 8th or a 1/31 meeting for that first one to kind of change that schedule. If not, obviously I could still be in attendance. So with that, I can answer any other questions that the EDA has.
What do you guys think of the schedule?
I think we can try it.
I hate 7:30 in the morning, Kelly.
Oh.
Well, we get coffee. This is one of the few meetings we get coffee at.
Yeah, that's true. Thanks, Tony.
In fact, I believe it's the only meeting. It's the only meeting we get refreshments at.
When the commissioners had a job.
What beverages are provided at a 4 o'clock meeting?
Yeah.
Just so I have a frame of comparison here.
I would say big wave.
Okay.
I might like that.
So if we make a motion here, just be aware that it sounds like James is asking that the first meeting be moved to the 8th. Correct?
I'll make a motion to approve with that change.
Second.
Any discussion? Motion and a second, sorry, do we have any discussion? Anything else? All right, very good. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Sounds like we got our meeting schedule, except for and the first one will be on the 8th.
That's correct.
Very good. We'll move on to item A8. This is our staff reports. Who would like to start? Go
Yes,
ahead,
I can
James.
start with that. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just wanted to update the EDA at the next Planning Commission meeting. Country Manor, which is a large senior living facility, is moving forward with it'd be their final PUD as well as a conditional use permit for a clinic that's going to be open to the public for physical therapy. So looking forward to that. And then also going to be continue working on the short-term rental ordinance that was directed from City Council back to the Planning Commission, and then potentially looking at revising our subdivision ordinance to make development easier within the city of Brainerd.
Thank you, Mr. Granvik. Eric, you have anything?
Yeah, I'd just like to update the commission on progress on 805 Laurel, that redevelopment project. I know we don't see buildings being taken down yet, but there is still plenty of work that's being done by the developer. The RFP for the application for the workforce, workforce housing program through Minnesota Housing did get pushed back to the end of this year with anticipated application due date by April 1. So we're working with the developer to make sure that is going to hit those marks. They're also going to be reapplying, or likely the HRA would be reapplying with consent from the City Council for the deed redevelopment grant that they did get denied for in August. That does happen in February. So we'll continue to work on those. Still on the horizon for sometime in the fall for a demolition. They are still shooting for that. Again, that will be predicated on getting that housing grant from Minnesota Housing. So keep working through that. We are working, we're going to be attending a meeting with a number of city administrators and the county administrator today to talk about municipal consent for our Crow County Housing Trust Fund. And so it's kind of the first kickoff meeting as the county is looking to kind of blanket the entire county for contributions for our housing trust fund. And we need to work with our cities that do have HRAs, so Brainerd, Pequot, and Crosby, to allow that to happen. So this is the first meeting of all of those bodies today, and I'm looking forward to that conversation and hopefully bringing that in front of the city council as they get more information. So just keep working on some pretty good initiatives, and we're excited about what 2024 brings.
Thank you, Eric. Tyler, you have anything? All right, commissioner reports. Anyone? Paul, anything? Anyone? I have nothing? All right, very good. Looks like we're done. I need a motion to adjourn. So moved. Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Thank you very much, guys.